promised, we are joined here on the Not Too Old to SummerSlam preview show by award-winning Boston producer James Stewart at I Am James Stewart on the internet, the host of Stick to Wrestling podcast, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Anyone in the Northeast knows who he is, and if you don't, you are looking at one of the best producers on one of the best shows on radio in the country, period. Jimmy, thanks so much for joining us.
You know, you guys are way too kind to me. I'm just a dude with a wrestling opinion who just continues to show up to work every day. That's all I really am. So
we
I
like
appreciate
you.
y'all.
Yeah, we like you. We would go as far as to say if you needed like managerial representation, we'll go into any meeting for you.
I appreciate it.
Do you mean, it's like an attorney thing, not like I would have like an urn and like accompany him to the ring?
Yeah, no, not like that type of manager.
I would say you guys are great advocates for me, so I appreciate that. So you got to tie it in.
We believe in the one producer in the, I don't know how I'm going to finish
So I used to have this. I actually wrote this out at one point where it was, I'm the one behind the number one show on the number one station.
Okay.
And then I had it kept going from there. I don't remember what it was, but
just lots of firsts.
And now, but you know, I've transitioned from being the one behind to I was an advocate for a touch, but now I'm the wise man to the baseball tribal chief, Jared Carabas.
Perfect. And away we go.
And I have the T-shirt to prove it if you're watching on the video.
We talked about.
I might be the only person who bought the Paul Heyman shirt, by the way.
God bless the tribal chief and his wise man. We were talking earlier before the break about kind of like the state of WWE, and it is really impossible to talk about the last 20 years of WWE, certainly the last 10 to 15 years of WWE, and really kind of big picture the history now of WWE without mentioning one guy specifically who recently announced that this was it. There was kind of some mixed reports that went out there that WrestleMania 41 will be John Cena's last match. That's incorrect. It'll be his last WrestleMania match. Yes. He intends to work throughout the year. So 2025 will be the end of John Cena. I think it inarguably, and I want to open it up to just your open-minded opinion on the guy. For me, inarguably, the Mount Rushmore argument is so forced and whatever, and you have to include him. And I want to open it up to Eddie and Jimmy, but what I really believe is that John Cena, as far as like when you talk about the definitive guy, the company has had a small handful. I'm not talking about being very, very popular or being even like the guy at the time. I mean like a tentpole. And to me, it's Bruno, it's Hogan, it's Brett, it's Austin, it's John Cena, and we will wind up looking at Roman Reigns that way, okay? But with John Cena, he is the best representative the WWE has ever had, because Bruno Sammartino was in a time when his job wasn't to be really representative of the company. Hulk Hogan, from a personal standpoint, his name is so tarnished, let's say, at this point, just as what we know about Terry Bollea, right? Bret Hart is really no longer a representative of the company at all. And Roman Reigns is going to be presented as an anti-hero for a good chunk of his run. So when you talk about John Cena being the number one wish granter for the Make-A-Wish program, the guy that wouldn't turn heel, not because he knew he couldn't make money off it or do it, but because he knew that there were kids out there that would be heartbroken by what they believed that guy was. And so between consistent match quality, he wasn't the flippy guy, no doubt about it, but between consistent match quality, representing himself. What's John Cena's biggest scandal? He cheated on his wife once 15 years ago. Sorry. Who cares?
Yeah.
Compare that to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm pretty sure Hulk Hogan saying the N-word way worse.
So I want to open this up to both of you, like what you think of John Cena. But beyond anything else, I find John Cena to be the very best face of the WWFE they've ever had.
Yeah, that John Cena there had an unenviable task, right? Because he joins the WWE when they're rolling during the Ruthless Aggression era, and he's clearly on pace to be one of their next 10-pole guys, right? You have Randy Orton, who's in Evolution at the time. You have Batista, who's also in Evolution at the time. But then you have John Cena as well, who was clearly going to be the next guy, the doctor of thugonomics. He had an edge to him. And then Chris Benoit does what Chris Benoit did, and the company had to take a complete tonal shift. And good for John Cena for executing on that opportunity, because he was able to turn into 1980s Hulk Hogan. That's what they asked him to do, and he played the character beautifully for what they asked him to do. It didn't help that the show wasn't good. Like, that didn't help him. But I think we've all come back around where we now know what we're looking at, and we can recognize the greatness that is John Cena.
What he got unfairly lumped into was the character had become kind of repetitive, kind of good guy wins, LOL. And what's lost on that is what John Cena was asked to do. So the comparison I make is kind of the exact opposite, right? Well, we'll hear from people that like Heath Slater deserved better. And what people lose sight of big picture is, I understand that the whoever Heath Slater's real name is an excellent pro wrestler. But what the average fan doesn't get, not to be condescending, is the role of Heath Slater was a character, and this guy was so good, he got to be a WWE wrestler with a character predetermined. Yeah. They were going to have a lovable loser, and this guy was able to handle that character. John Cena was Superman to the point of almost becoming a little dry, but that's not because of his limitations as a performer. That was the script, and he kind of got lumped into the whole thing.
John Cena is on the record as saying, if you think I'm a heel, I'm already a heel, so I don't need to turn.
Right.
That's a John Cena-ism right there.
You already boo me.
So there's no need for me to turn because I've already turned in your mind. So there's no need for John Cena on the bigger picture to actually turn into a villainous character.
Right.
Like Hulk Hogan, ironically, if you look at his run of matches from, say 84 to 89-ish, he kind of works heel. He kind of works like a villain. Watch a match with Harley Race. Watch a match with the Honky Tonk Man. Like, there are instances of Hogan really working villainous style.
He screwed over Flair.
He did.
That's not babyface-ish.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that Hulk's value hasn't really taken that much of a hit because he's still selling merchandise. And it's still, so there's still an audience out there for Hulk Hogan.
It'll be very interesting to see how, because it's a little too early to tell with the RNC stuff that happened a few weeks ago when we're recording this. So it'll be interesting, but we just don't know that data.
Right, exactly.
But I noticed that he's a part of they're advertising that Fanatics event.
Yep.
And I have noted on multiple occasions that it's like he's tucked in the back now.
He did a Rumble thing. He did a Rumble hype package for WWE as Hulk Hogan. He was, I mean, I know that was January, but I mean, like, he is still sort of every once in a while showing up and being Hulk Hogan for them, knowing he is completely physically limited. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, even if he was in their good graces during the big WrestleMania 40, like, hoopla at the end where everybody that got an invite and showed up, like, of course Hulk Hogan could have been part of that. He wrestled The Rock in a very big match at WrestleMania. Sure. Hogan could have been, like, because Street Clothes Undertaker wasn't the answer. It should have been Steve Austin. But let's just say
that's a whole nother story.
Exactly. And a shame because Steve Austin makes that just maybe the coolest wrestling thing ever.
I disagree with you on that, but that's a side topic.
I think it is a side topic. I think it's way better than Street Clothes, but I get you. But the point is, like, Hogan could have, like, you could have easily justified Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania, taking out The Rock. There's a story there, but not only is Terry Bollea not welcome, I guess, but he physically is incapable of doing so.
So I think he's welcome. I just think that they're spotty as to where he's welcome to make sure that he gets the right ovation, like the Mean Gene Okerlund thing years ago.
Sure.
But he's selling a bunch of merchandise both on his own site and through Fanatics. I know that his numbers are high. So there is an audience for Hulk Hogan. So Hulk's value might be more where your political leanings are than they are whether you're wrestling.
I think that's very fair.
I also think that people, for the most part, like Hulk Hogan and don't really care about the other stuff.
I think people want to like Hulk Hogan. I think that's what it is. Not that I'm telling you that they don't. I think it's one of those things where if you're a wrestling fan and you kind of know who this guy is and you probably don't like him, but then you're at a wrestling show and Real American plays and you probably pop, that kind of thing. But with John Cena, there's none of that. There's none of it. Like, John Cena's, I guess, stains, again, are cheating on a wife that's really none of my business.
And not marrying Nikki Bella.
And not marrying Nikki Bella.
There's a layer of that. That's a side topic, too.
But like,
and it was her fault.
And I don't want to, like, bring this up because it's such a touchy subject, but, like, take a look at what Steve Austin did when he was married to Deborah. And that's way worse than John Cena being kind of a weirdo about his house on Total Divas. You know what I mean? It's just that guy. I'm not telling you he's perfect, but he feels the only. I hate to keep bringing this back to Boston, but like it's like Tom Brady. It's like he just doesn't seem to screw up. You know what I mean? And if you're the WWE and you had to pick somebody, we talk about slotting in roles. Sure. We need somebody to be the triumphant hero, squeaky clean, get us through this. How could you say anybody would have done a better job of what was asked than John Cena?
No, John Cena is the number one guy, and John Cena is probably going to get number 17 at some point during this next run.
That's a sincere question I have for you is, will he, should he?
Oh, I have his 2025 year laid out for you.
We have a graphic ready and everything.
Yeah, we did.
Prep work, right? So what I would do for John Cena's last year, he's got 30 to 40 appearances. He's not going to wrestle on every show.
Sure.
So I've broken it down. There's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches that I have written down with 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 potential opponents.
Love it.
Right?
Okay.
So this is a roughed, what they would call, I guess, in the business, a skeleton.
Sure.
Is that the proper?
Sure.
You know, your storyboarding.
Yeah.
I asked. It's funny. The internet made fun of me because I asked Triple H at a Survivor Series press conference about storyboarding things. And the internet's like, "Oh, so you use the term storyboard." That's what they do.
Yeah,
it's
a play. It's a play. It's a movie.
Yeah.
First of all, that's the terminology they use because they have segments, and it's
and it's because I know people, so that's why.
It's a TV show, everybody.
Yeah.
So this is the short form. I can go through each individual. I know I'm not leading this. This is your show. This is your guys.
You do your thing, buddy.
I'm used to leading. That's the problem.
Do it.
So John Cena's last year, I would have him win the Royal Rumble match.
Sure. I would agree.
How many has he have? 2?
I think he's at, because he would have won when he was the 30th entrant in Madison Square Garden, and he won whatever.
He won the Batista one, right?
He won the, no, Batista won that one.
They called, okay. I think he's got 2.
So we'll say he's got 2, right? I would have him win that match. And what I would do is his own precedent is he has challenged the champion of his choice at Elimination Chamber. He said he's doing the Elimination Chamber match. I would put him and Cody for the WWE title at the Elimination Chamber.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
So I would do that. Then I would go to, and so this is where it kind of gets a little, because I've thought about this. What's the bigger match? Cody Cena main eventing night 1 or CM Punk and John Cena main eventing night 1 of WrestleMania?
Probably Punk, because you just squeezed that nostalgia lemon out of it. And I think that Cody's strength, not only Cody's strength, but I think that their desire for Cody Rhodes is to work baby as much as possible. Right now, he is a ticket-selling, merch-selling,
he's also
kid-hugging.
the heir apparent.
And, like, you want to talk about, like, this Cody Rhodes right now is working a traditional baby style that we haven't seen. It's before Cena, because Cena was this, like, almost this, like, edgy. I mean, he's working like just I can't
always
even
equate it to, he's one of these, like, they've been remaking video games recently. Most recently is Final Fantasy VII. They've been remaking, and the term is quality of life improvements, right?
Sure.
There have been precedents that have been set in video games since that game has been made, and we added those things to make the game feel modern. And that's how I feel about Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is a throwback 1980s babyface, but he has all of those quality of life improvements that you would see by somebody in 2024.
Yeah, he reminds me of a modern Bret Hart, where it's like, not only do I want to work clean, but I want the kids to like me. I want to be the hero. I want, like, I don't. So as somebody, one time, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, Cody Rhodes and I had lunch, and he bought me an orange lemonade.
Sure.
That really did happen. He was working an indie show, and it was my job to get Cody Rhodes around that day. This was 2017. And no disrespect to the guy. We've had him on the show twice. I'd love to have him on again now that we're kind of doing these things.
Technically, he owes us because he won the Rumble.
He promised. I find Cody Rhodes as somebody who sat down at a table and had lunch with him. God forgive me. I find Cody Rhodes to be unbelievably disingenuous, right?
Sure.
Cody Rhodes is really good at saying the right things and put her there, pal. But you can tell that the second he walks away, he's just being like, you know what I mean? Like,
He's a politician.
he is.
So Roman Reigns was right again.
Cody Rhodes, just I can't even, I don't mean to be a dick, but it's somebody who did drive around with him and felt like, you know, he was just sort of talking down to me while being respectful all at the same time. It's hard to describe, but I just kind of felt like he was very nice in the fakest way. Okay.
Sure.
And even it's so strange to me, like he just very recently went to Japan because they're working in they're working a hybrid partnership with Noah, and they're in Japan, and they gifted him his dad's robe and hat. And I can tell, I'm really good at body language. And again, I spent, you know, some time with the guy. He is so sick of hearing about his dad. He is so tired of having to share this with his dad and talk about his dad and bring up his dad. And did you hear about his dad and all the things about his dad, that I could just tell, even putting on that robe and the big funny hat, and he did the smile and he said thank you and this means so much to me. But it's just, there's something about his body language that's just disingenuous to me.
Yeah.
But he still wants to present himself as the squeaky clean, pull the kid out of the crowd, give him a hug. We're at a house show. None of this matters. Let's dance around the ring together. Like, he wants to be the people's champion because Cody Rhodes understands the value in that from a monetary perspective, that if I get to be the next top babyface in WWE, the money I'll make, somebody's got to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Why not me? And that I do have a kind of an opposite in Roman Reigns, in Seth Rollins, in CM Punk. And so I just think that Cody Rhodes is going to present himself, although I think it's an act, as the squeaky clean guy. I don't see him crossing paths with John Cena. I see him crossing paths with a CM Punk, with John Cena crossing paths with a CM Punk, a Randy Orton, a Gunther.
See, I think that this needs to be a WWE championship. So either he beats Cody Rhodes, or, God forbid, Cody Rhodes, and we'll talk about this later, but Cody Rhodes is not the champion, and there might be a different leader of the bloodline that would be his WrestleMania opponent.
So I've gone back and forth about the Elimination Chamber thing, but Cena wins the Rumble. He goes on, he beats Cody. That is my play. I think it'd be a bigger moment at WrestleMania, but say for the sake of the discussion, he beats Cody at Elimination Chamber, right? But if you want to flip Punk, he fights at Elimination. I want to get the CM Punk match out of the way.
Sure.
Not because it's disrespectful, but I think that they're a bigger fish to fry than
I don't even know if it'll
match with CM Punk.
And not for nothing, you might need to house show this thing just to try it, or
I don't know if
I don't
Phil
trust
Brooke can do it.
I don't trust CM Punk's body, and John Cena's clearly off the gas.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what's that thing going to look like? I almost want to see him work with Randy Orton more, because I know Randy Orton is still a professional quarterback who can get me through this game. You know what I mean?
So for the sake of this, let's say that I'm gonna have John Cena beat Cody Rhodes, and night one of WrestleMania, WWF title, WWE title, still do it. That's
CM
your
Punk
WrestleMania
finally
moment.
gets his main event.
So Cena beats Cody, gets the title. Cena versus Punk, WrestleMania night 1, because you're doing Roman and The Rock night 2.
Sure.
And supposedly Netflix wants Roman for their show, so that's for the Raw belt, right? Or it can be not for a belt. Doesn't matter. They've done that before. So now the summer is kind of like the summer of Cena as champion. Give me Drew McIntyre, give me Damian Priest, give me Gunther, give me Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Trick Williams, something like that, so he's building off of something. He's eventually going to drop the title before we get to SummerSlam, or maybe this is for the title. SummerSlam, Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts, John Cena versus The Rock 3.
I like the idea that not only are you so prepared, but what I like the idea is, what you got to kind of take in mind with John Cena is, what do we want to accomplish before the end? Some of it might be like, there's all sorts of things. It won't be all of them. It might not be any of them. It probably will be a couple. Like, Do we want John Cena to finally win the Intercontinental Championship? The one belt that's eluded him this entire run. He's never had it. Do we want to accomplish that? Is he the right guy to take on Gunther? Does that make sense? Do we want to go in that? Is Gunther still the Intercontinental Champion?
No, he dropped
He
it
lost
to
to
Sammy
Sammy.
at WrestleMania.
That's right. Sami Zayn is the
He
Intercontinental.
might win a SummerSlam.
And do we
I'm
want
not
to?
sure he is.
I don't think
more
he
on
is
that
either,
later.
But yeah.
Do we want, like, how many one last times? Because I think you do at least one of the following three. One last time, Rock, Orton, Punk. At least one of those, right? Where do we want to get in? I think that the good thing about John Cena is you can be so successful without a title, and that there is this secondary championship that would count. You know what I mean? Would it feel as good? No, but it would count. Only because, you know, what Eddie and I talked about earlier in this very show, which is I don't think that dropping people from space to disrupt things that make more sense is the play in wrestling anymore. At least it's not as necessary.
Well, this WWE.
But why would John Cena beat Cody Rhodes?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because it's the moment, and it's still the moment, and it's a story. And that's where Cody got his moment, because it was finishing his story. So now the story...
Does it not
is
conflict that
John
we're going
Cena.
from top, like, that John Cena's time is gone, so he should beat my top baby for a belt?
I think
who's
it's gonna
going
be-
to replace him?
I think it's going to be Solo. I think
But you see what I'm
because-
saying, though? It's like,
I'm rooting for Solo.
Yeah.
but you see
That's-
what
that's-
usually
So-
in wrestling we do the exact
Yeah.
opposite. Where
So
we,
I don't think he takes it off of Cody, because I don't think Cody has the belt much longer.
But I
you think
also
Solo
too,
Sikoa is going to win the
yes,
WWE
I do.
Championship?
I love that take.
I do.
Is it so Reigns comes back and has?
Well, because it opens up two doors. It either opens up Solo versus Roman, or it opens up John Cena versus Solo, because Solo beat him at WrestleMania last year or 2 years ago.
Well, it was also that John Cena's crown jewel.
Yes.
I think it was where Solo demolished him.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. So there is bad blood between the two. So putting them for the title makes a lot of sense, as well as building up this other young star, right? Because I don't think losing to John Cena at WrestleMania is damaging.
No, and the other thing too is there could be a Cody turn as WWE champion. You guys were talking about the indie
Yeah,
stuff
sure.
before,
Yeah.
and villain Cody was great. And he wears a suit. He's kind of a villain anyway. And if I view him as a villain, he already is a villain because he's a politician. I despise politicians. But again, so at some point, I have John Cena over Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship, right? The summer, you can fill in, like we talked about. Foxborough Stadium is getting SummerSlam. I don't know if it's 2025 or if it's 2027, but they're getting a SummerSlam.
Okay.
So I do Cena Rock 3 at SummerSlam in Foxborough. If it's for the belt, great. If it's not for the belt, that's okay. You're going to pack 70 grand into Foxborough Stadium for John Cena's second to last match in New England. We'll get to his last match in New England in a second. But Cena Rock 3, The Rock will politician his way to getting a win there. I don't think you do it there. I think Cena wins over Rock, much to the upsetness, the madness, the political nature of The Rock, because I also believe, and I've said this on Stick to Wrestling, The Rock came back and wanted badly to book himself to beat Roman Reigns
Right.
in the Night 2 main event
Right.
for the championship. And then it doesn't matter. He'd hand it back to him the next night, whatever. He just wanted that WrestleMania moment.
What a waste that would have been. And like, so what I think is, two separate thoughts. I actually think John Cena in the next year or so that he's going to work throughout the year, I actually think he's going to lose a lot. I think that John Cena is going to, as not only a matter of like personal pride, pick a guy or two. Like I could see him picking, God, what's his name? Carmelo Hayes, and putting that kid over, right?
Sure.
I don't think it's going to be John Cena put over to her, and I think John Cena is going to get his, and he's not here just to be like, his career winning percentage must be like 92%. He's not here to drop it into the 80s. Gotcha. But I do think he's going to pick a guy or two, Gunther and Carmelo Hayes, let's call those the two guys that he does put over out the door. And I actually think he might do a decent amount of losing to guys that kind of need it more, who will be here in 6 months to a year after John Cena is already told you he's going. The reason I don't think that he beats Cody Rhodes personally is because it feels like the exact opposite of what we do. The reason that Hogan didn't go over Rock even during the crowd pivoting and they didn't give the ref the call to flip is because Hogan this is the end, and with The Rock it's the prime, and with Cena it's the end, and with Cody it's the prime, and I just don't want to send the message that like Cody's the man, but not the man. You know what I mean? I just think it's better if they don't cross paths.
But what they did after WrestleMania 18 was they put the title on him the next month, and then they're like, "Oh, that was a mistake. Let's get it off Hogan and go forward."
And what the other thing that I think too,
but it was about the moment, and it's like, well, we're switching from WWF to WWE. Hogan's hot as blue flame hot,
right?
So let's put the title on him. We'll transition to the E. Hogan's the first WWF champion. He's the last WWF champion. He transitions into E, and then we'll go from there.
And I also understand totally that crowd flipping the script led them to go like, "There's money in red and yellow. Let's do it. We don't trust Scott Hall. We don't need Kevin Nash. The money is in reviving red and yellow Hulk Hogan." And they got a lot of juice out of that squeeze, no doubt about it. The thing with Hogan, though, like I said, was at the end of the day, one of the best things about Rock and Hogan is it's very digestible. The whole thing from Goosebumps to the end is like 15 minutes, and the right guy won. You know, as much as it would have popped the crowd if Hogan went over, the right guy won. I don't see Cody. I think if anything, Cody beats him, or they just don't cross paths.
I just need John Cena to get 17.
I think I don't disagree with you, and I think I mean this. I think it's less satisfying, but I think like beating Damian Priest or something is more likely because I think they want Cody Rhodes to be the champion for quite some time.
So let's back up. Let's go back to Elimination Chamber. He loses to Cody at Elimination Chamber, right?
Sure.
And it can be in Saudi Arabia. It can be, for the maybe CM Punk walks into WrestleMania 41 as the Raw World Champion.
Sure.
Maybe.
And then he beats CM Punk and wins 17 at WrestleMania. The idea is that let's get 17 out of the way.
Right, sure, yeah,
and then
sure.
let's move forward with whether it's going to go from there.
Well, because I would love to live in a world where we start at WrestleMania with 17.
They're also like the company in general doesn't really do a lot of like, unless it's injury based, hey, I won this title, you can have it back.
Yeah.
That's really not a WWE thing.
Yeah. But having John Cena win 17 at the last WrestleMania, huge. Then we have a bunch of different options where we can have the John Cena Open Challenge for the WWE Championship. We get to do a lot of stuff where people that you had mentioned, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre,
Trick Williams, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens.
These are all
Gunther.
great people to have John Cena matches because you get to pack in a bunch of John Cena matches with a bunch of people, and we only have to have a few real stories.
What I think John Cena equates to is like, so Roman Reigns, right? There's one title that Roman Reigns has that has not been taken from him. And Eddie and I talked a lot about this. You know, we didn't have a show, but we would just text about it. Is that Roman Reigns has at the time going into WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes, had two titles. One of them that was up for grabs, and one of them that Cody Rhodes was not trying to take and did not take, which was the Tribal Chiefdom. The WWE Championship was on the line. The Tribal Chiefdom was not, which is why I have hope that there is something with The Rock, because there's something left to fight for, right, with The Rock. I think Reigns and The Rock are obviously on a collision course, and the last story is this is bigger than titles. This is about Samoa. This is about 200 years of our families. This is about you represent the Mayavias and I represent the Anawais, and we're gonna do this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the story, and the shells, and that is the story. That's all it needs. It's all it's ever needed. Yep. Which was why when The Rock wanted to win the championship or whatever, you don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. And with Cody, that's why like John Cena feels like you can accomplish a lot without him being the champion. So if he does win a belt, I think it's going to be either a very short run or greatly out of character for WWE, like I said, which is I'm going to retire the champion. Thank you. Good night.
Oh, he's definitely not going to retire the champion.
He wouldn't want that. He definitely would.
They don't do that. No.
Yeah.
Like that's why
Edge was the last one to do that.
And again, that's injury.
That was injury.
That's injury. That's Daniel Bryan.
I think The Rock wanted to do that.
Yeah.
The
Rock
in 02. or an 11 or
last-
10
last
yeah,
week.
But, right. Oh, right. But like they don't
Still has it on his
Yeah.
own personal booking sheet.
And that's why, to be fair, not to walk down this road, but like with the Montreal Screwjob, when Bret Hart's like, let me win it tonight, and on Raw, I'll give it to you and be like, I don't even want to be the WWF champion. And like, Bret, that does nothing,
Yeah.
nothing for me. John Cena's different because clearly he's not like, I don't even wanna. It would just be like, I'm done. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah.
But they don't do that.
No, it would have to be. You have to kind of look a little further down the list, but it's like it is somebody like a Carmelo Hayes. Trick Williams is a great name as well.
They love Trick Williams
But-
in NXT.
But
I hope
those
I hope they love Carmelo.
But
Christian's
those
a
are
good
two
guy.
guys that Braun Breaker is another one that's really
He's on
high
my
up
list.
there. But those are three guys. Ilya Dragunov, if you want to just have a nice four. But those are four guys that are their next blue chip prospects. So the WWE Championship will be taken off of John Cena by one of those four men.
Okay.
Now, when that happens, it'll be close to the following WrestleMania. I just don't know what he says.
So we've talked. I think we've all kind of agreed that the World Heavyweight Championship would feel lesser than,
Yes.
but. Don't you think it's an easier device, especially if, let's just say it's Braun Breaker, that Braun Breaker might not ready to be the WWE champion, but this, which I'm sorry, what it is glorified Intercontinental title
Yeah.
might make more sense, and they still count it.
So the only reason is that I think, much like our graphic shows, that's the last image you want. You don't want the last image to be the pseudo big gold belt.
I don't disagree with that
And-
at all because he's going to hold it up. Like
Yeah.
the last image he has, one of the graphics we have is him beating AJ Styles. 16 is him beating AJ
Yeah.
Styles, and it is something to be said about it being their big giant logo.
Yeah.
I understand.
And
that.
so
I do. I understand.
think
that.
having that is more important. Currently, the WWE Championship is on SmackDown, which is his show. So, unless they do another draft and flip the titles, I think that having him on SmackDown is a little bit more important. Just because of his history with the show.
And TV can indicate a lot too. Like, you know what I mean? Like Fox wanted Brock Lesnar to be champion, and WWE was like, no problem. Give us 30 seconds.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean? And then we'll get it. We'll do it for you.
Yeah.
So if TV and Netflix or whomever becomes a factor, yeah, there is great marketability in the safest guy they've ever had being the champion one last time.
Yeah.
I just think that again with Roman Reigns, that's the parallel is he doesn't need it to have a huge year and a half for them.
Sure.
But it will help if it's part of it.
Yeah.
Let me throw this at you. So I'm just going to rapid fire. Does John Cena win the Royal Rumble?
Yes.
Yes.
Does John Cena win the Intercontinental Championship ever in his career?
No.
No.
Does John Cena win Title 17?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it the Undisputed Championship?
Yes.
Yes.
Does he ever do anything out of character for John Cena on the run just to finally say he did?
Oh, no. Somebody said that John Cena finally needs to turn heel at
Right.
the end, and I responded by saying, no, we're not going to never give up right up until the end.
You don't. I agree with that. You don't. And this is the last question I'll ask about John Cena before we'll talk about people that.
Oh, I have to finish my run through.
Oh, please,
yes.
please do. We're gonna. John
It'll be
Cena,
quick. We'll rapid fire.
John Cena's doing this the right way. We're going to talk about a couple of folks who overstayed their welcome in pro wrestling. But my last question to you then will be, you don't have to Mount Rushmore. I don't care about top fours or whatever. But what is his place? Where is John Cena's place in wrestling history, in WWE history? Just where do you place him as far as the pantheon is concerned?
I put him in, no lower than 3. I think Hogan made it mainstream. Take all the side stuff, but Hogan 83, Hogan 84, Sports Illustrated. If you were to go on the street and ask for one wrestler, it's probably Hulk Hogan. It's probably John Cena, and then it's either The Rock or Steve Austin.
Yeah, I'd probably put him 3 as well. John Cena is rapidly climbing the list of my favorite wrestlers. I had a really weird personal interaction that he's unaware of back in December, and it was, I think that man kind of has embodied to me everything that the character has embodied this entire time.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to just kind of go on this last ride. And I think it is going to kind of cement him as the greatest.
What
I just want to add something to what Eddie said. I had a conversation with John Cena back in December. And what I will share about that is he's the same person that I met in during the Dale and Numi era of my life. So that's 02-ish, 03-ish. Same exact first-class person. So, like, that person never really kind of changed as far as my interactions with him. But fabulous stand-up guy. He should be, based on everything inside and outside of the ring, he should be the number one based on all that.
I think that if you were to go, like, Eddie makes a great
He's the prototype.
Right, and I think Eddie makes a great kind of general point where if you were to ask the average guy walking down the street, hey, name a pro wrestler, probably instinctually Hulk Hogan and Steve Austin are more of like the mainstream.
Rock.
But here's the thing. That only comes with a certain age demographic.
Sure.
Because what John Cena has done is what you could... The only guy that I think you can really, really compare John Cena's career to is Dwayne Johnson, because Dwayne Johnson is an all-time wrestler that actually made it. Like, God love Hulk Hogan and Thunder Lips, and and Steve Austin didn't really try to be a mainstream after wrestling star. Dave Bautista, I guess it's like Bautista and
Batista's the best actor of the bunch,
right? But
he's not the biggest star.
So what John Cena is probably the greatest total package wrestling's ever seen, because he was a better worker than Hulk Hogan. He was more sellable, longer, and more durable than Steve Austin. He, again, is just like, he never let that company down. He never let that. He didn't drive drunk. He didn't have some secret tape that is just so damning. He didn't tell a kid to F off at the airport. He just never screwed up. And you combine the work rate. Like, was Bret Hart a better worker? Yes, but Bret Hart wasn't more sellable and didn't draw as the ratings that Cena did.
And Bret and John were asked to work different styles.
Exactly right. And so, like, were there certain, if you asked for one attribute about John Cena, you could probably name somebody better at him, right? Hulk Hogan was probably the bigger star, and Steve Austin probably made more, like, sold more, maybe one singular T-shirt, kind of, you know what I mean, and brought you to that. But like, if you take everything it takes to be the face of the World Wrestling Federation, nobody did it better than that guy, and did it for so long. Hulk Hogan was like 7-8 years. Steve Austin was like 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, this guy was the man for them for well over a decade, as far as like what they asked him to be, that guy. Well over a decade. Nobody else can touch that, and it's just... That's his place. But I do want to know how you would wrap up the career of somebody who is in such good standing, I think, within everybody's minds.
So, Crown Jewel, he does Logan Paul. He has a match with Logan Paul. That's a celebrity match.
He's surprisingly good.
Insanely good. Survivor Series, you do something with Braun Breaker. What that is, I don't know. His last week of matches, Madison Square Garden, Randy Orton.
Ooh, okay.
Los Angeles Forum, Dominic Mysterio.
Okay.
Oh, wow, all right.
The last show that John Cena ever does as an active wrestler, TD Garden, Raw, December 30th, Carmelo Hayes.
Give him the WWE Championship.
Sure.
And so that comes also from a bias. You were talking about Christian before. Yeah. I love the man.
So,
he's first-class individual.
Guy's awesome.
So it's full bias. Carmelo, hopefully the writers on the main roster understand what the writers in NXT understood about Carmelo and what he can be and what he should be. So hopefully by the time we get to December 30th of 2025, Carmelo Hayes would be in a spot to have that spot at Raw at the TD Garden for John Cena's last match.
That'd be huge. I'd love it. See, but that's what I'm talking about, is having that be the last match. He doesn't have to be WWE champion at that point. He can lose to Randy Orton at Madison Square Garden if you
And you could layer it out so that the MSG show is Raw, the LA Forum is SmackDown, TD Garden is the last Raw, December 30th.
I think that John Cena ends his career on a win. That's my bold prediction.
So I do too. I think he ends on a win.
He doesn't go out on his shield, and maybe he does win this championship and put somebody over in a very big way.
Sure.
I think that just John Cena there's one of two ways John Cena has to go out: with a win, because that's what John Cena does, or tapping out, because it just took him like 21 years in between tap outs or something. Like Angle made him do it, but no, he won't do that. He'll never give up. But like again, this is a polarizing career, and I know that 10 years ago when we were kind of in the middle of John Cena and like, is this ever going to end? He again took a huge amount of heat for playing a role exceptionally well. You didn't have to like the character, but he played it exceptionally well.
Yeah, well, and personally, my mindset has kind of shifted in terms of the John Cena character, and it's really helped going back and rewatching a lot of stuff. When you look at it in terms of like, no, John Cena is Superman. John Cena is Goku. John Cena is one of these larger-than-life protagonists, because when you look at like
Hulk Hogan was.
Yeah, when you look at stuff like Dragon Ball Z and Goku, right? A majority of the show is them waiting for Goku to show up to take care of the problem. When there's these massive DC multiverse events,
You have to put Superman in a coma.
Superman has to be somehow
Incapacitated.
occupied.
Right.
And the whole thing is let's wait till Superman gets here.
That was how Justice League ended.
Yeah.
Like Superman's in the movie for like 7 minutes at the end, just whooping ass.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Because I
Right.
can't create a villain that poses a credible
And
threat to him.
So that's where John Cena is now. And if you look at him and appreciate him in one of those type of lenses, the show is way better.
But and to be fair, because we complimented this guy basically the entire segment, John Cena played politics as well.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like John Cena, the reason that Nexus didn't go over was not just because John Cena, didn't want to beat
Sure.
Nexus, right? So he politicked too. He had a real problem putting over Daniel Bryan. Didn't want to do it. He did, but he didn't want to.
That's interesting. I heard the opposite.
I
I heard it was his idea.
I didn't, but
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I heard incorrectly. I know he.
Oh no, I know for sure that different people tell different things to different people, and there's a definite political divide there.
It's
so
just
I don't think that you're lying.
Yeah.
I think you might have been lied to in the same way that I'm not lying. The person who told me might be lying to me.
I know that like he had no problem putting Owens over, but didn't want to do it match one. If you watch him, he did it. But if you watch Kevin Owens beat John Cena, like shockingly, he pins him and Cena rolls right out of the ring and heads back. And you'd think he'd kind of give him that like shot of John Cena on his. He wouldn't do it. And there were years, like I said, between.
Yeah.
Ask Wade Barrett if his career would have been a little different if John Cena would have worked with it. You know what I mean?
The whole reason why the Shield works is because they beat John Cena.
And like again,
and the power bomb on the Undertaker overseas.
and it's so he also, like everyone who's ever succeeded in this business, played the game too. And there are certain things that again, should John Cena have let the Nexus go over? Yeah. Are there certain guys here and there? But then you kind of look back and you go, well, I sure am glad he didn't put over Ryback.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And so maybe John Cena also kind of knew the deal. He's an interesting career to reflect on.
Yes.
I agree completely.
Now in my mind, I'm trying to think of like times that John Cena rolled out of the ring prematurely.
What I was told, so like
Now I'm like, wow, he didn't want to do that.
I got to have a real personal relationship with a guy that manages talent back there. I won't tell you which talent, but a manager of talent there, not on screen. Yeah. And Owens is one of his guys. And that was like how it was described to me was, it's totally cool that you'll get one, but they're like, no, this will probably be a one and done. And if you watch, Cena just get 1, 2, 3, just I'm out of here. And he wouldn't do more than that for him. And, there's moments of that in the career.
Well, here's the thing. John Cena also had to hear it for years, right? Because in all the pro wrestling magazines for years prior to that moment, everybody was talking about how amazing Kevin Steen was and how Kevin Steen should be the top wrestler. So I could understand why John Cena might be rubbed a little the wrong way.
Also think about...
And plus, Kevin Owens is a talker. He'll talk your face off if you're in the right place at the right time.
And you got to think too, and it wound up being
nice.
No, I love Kevin Owens.
And it wound up being true, but like you also got to think that John Cena was also at this point very, very aware that he was being phased out. I'm at like the United States Championship level now, and working with guys, and like my job now is to make this belt important, and it's this United States title. all over again. He probably I think it's a very Aaron Rodgers thing where it's like, I am not interested in mentoring anybody. I am not interested in like that promo he cut with Roman Reigns being like, I'm here because you can't do your job.
Right.
I look at you. Like the best John Cena promos are real, where he goes, I look at you, I hear you, I cannot believe they replaced me with you. I can't believe.
Oh, he buried Austin Theory.
I can't believe.
Yeah, he did.
Right. He did. I can't believe.
That kid still hasn't recovered.
Because Austin Theory looks just like him, and John Cena had to look at his past and go, I don't look like you anymore. I am now 20-something years older than this kid. And he did, I think, have a problem just accepting that. Like that promo with Reigns is very real, where it's you're the reason that I'm not going to win anything here anymore. You. And it's like, geesh, you know.
And part of that culture, and I know this as fact, that Austin Theory was thrilled just to be in the ring with John Cena.
Yeah.
Didn't the words, the quote unquote burial didn't matter.
Yeah. Well,
but the thing about Austin is good. He's a wonderful kid.
Yeah.
I've met him before.
But his problem is that more people remember that promo than do him beating John Cena at WrestleMania.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And part of that is the Vince McMahon thing. And the other part of it is placement on the WrestleMania card and what they did after John Cena, which was nothing.
Yeah, and that's relatively recent. So if nothing else, like John Cena, who has done the job and played the role and been the good guy to the kids, ego has still been involved here.
Oh, of course.
As well, and still might be during this last run. But I think we can all agree one of the best.
I know. I'll leave this. I know very strongly that John is against 17.
I've heard that for years.
Tough.
Years.
It's not about you, John.
So 1 second. I'm glad you brought that up. I really am. It's a point that I didn't get made. It is a no-brainer for the WWE to put 17 on him because Ric Flair, like 14 of them are from other companies. You know what I mean? And Ric Flair is not the representative for this company.
This is your transition, by the way.
Ric Flair will be. Thank you. I love you. Love you. Ric Flair. God,
producer thing.
Forgive me, universe. Ric Flair's going to be dead in 10 years, and John Cena. Yeah, right. He definitely, and John Cena probably won't. Ric Flair. Most of those are WCW and NWA World Championships, right? So if you're the company, you of course I get to control who the home run champion is. Well, if I'm the Yankees, it's going to be Aaron Judge. If I'm the Red Sox, it's going to be David Ortiz. If I'm the Mariners, it's going to be Ken Griffey. I get to pick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And so if you're the company, this is the dude. This is the dude. And it's almost strange because it felt like, and again, Boston sports, here we go. If you had told Larry Bird in 1986 that in 2024 the Celtics would only have 2 more championships, he'd be pretty pissed, right? Because they were winning one about every year and a half in the franchise's history. Sure. And so if you were to look at John Cena, it's like, yeah, we're on pace for about 20. And now he just kind of stops dead in his tracks.
At 16.
The joke that I make off the air is like, this is 2 bottles of beer on the wall. I made you. You made me.
We already took down one of the last 2.
Exactly right. It's like you guys. How I made you. You made me hear 99 bottles of beer on the wall. There were times when it was fun. There were times when it was painful. But we got to. You're right. 1 bottle of beer on the wall. Will you finish the song?
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean? It's almost strange to have him tie a record you can control when the record holder isn't Triple H, Randy Orton,
It's
Edge.
not your guy.
It's not your guy. It's not Dave Bautista. It's not The Undertaker. It's not even Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Also, NWA just doesn't exist anymore, right?
But also,
they have their show, but
and you kind of want to, not only is Ric Flair, I guess, an ambassador now more for AEW, he doesn't represent you anymore. You don't want him to. There's no more value in Ric Flair, and there's none of value, unfortunately, in a lot of wrestlers that insist on sticking around